Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and welcome. This is a public live, which I don't do too often, but I wanted to talk about catfishing because Netflix just put out this documentary called Sweet Bobby, where this woman, Kirat, was really catfished big time. So, um, I want to talk about why she got catfished the way she did. And I want to bring in some other issues about catfishing. I have two stories to tell you from my own life. Because I want people to understand the different methods of catfishing and different ways it happens to different people for different reasons. And if you've ever been catfished or worried about being catfished because you're online and you're never absolutely sure what you're hearing online and seeing online is accurate. And I have ways to help you find out if it's accurate with some of my own experiences. And you say, but Pat Brown, you're a profiler. How did you get catfished? Well, on a couple occasions where I did try online dating. I did not actually get catfished. They tried to catfish me and I caught them. So I'll tell you how I did it. And the other one was a professional thing. And that I did get taken for a good period of time. And then I managed to find out and do some investigations, and I'll tell you all about that. So, first of all, I want to welcome everybody who is in the chat room because this is an open chat room. I'm not going to go through everybody's name because there's so many of you, and yeah, but I'm glad you're here, and it's very this documentary was really very exciting. So I definitely wanted to talk about it. Now, before I get started, I want to say a couple things. One is, you may hear background noise during this video, car door slamming, some children screaming, and dogs barking. And I'll tell you why. Because the last video I did, I found that there's a new dog next door, and it's a barky thing. It's a Cane Corso, and it's a puppy still, although it's huge. And my last video that was live, these dogs started barking, and I'm like, what the heck? And it was bad. I have found since that my StreamYard program has a background silencer or diminishes the background noise. So I have that on, so it should be less. However, my daughter invited me. Well, she did invite me, but she forgot to send the invite to a big bonfire she's having in the backyard next door. And there's like 50 people coming with all their children. So there's cars pulling up, and children are running in and out, letting dogs do whatever they do. So I'm just warning you, it may be a little bit noisier than I like, but I'm hoping the background silencer will kill most of it. So, and if you are here for the first time, I would like to say welcome. If you would like to be in the live chats when I'm not doing public ones, please do join Patreon in the link below. And yeah, you can join 2 lives a week. It's $5 a month. I have one level. I do a case analysis on the weekend and a hangout during the week. And it's always fun to have my patrons there and supporting me. And you don't have to do that. All of my videos are public once the live is finished. So please just subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, and check my playlist because I've done a lot of stuff. So, all right, let's get to the show. All right. Now, all right, so what happened to this poor woman? I mean, and sometimes I don't feel sorry for people who get catfished because they're well, what shall we say? They themselves aren't that honorable. They're looking for a lot of money, and somebody catfishes them on a fake profile, and he's standing next to his airplane. He's got gold all over the place, and they want money. And so they're immediately entranced by this guy because, he has all this money. And I think there's another one. Does anybody remember the name of it? It was a fairly recent Netflix one. I did a video on it, and now I'm blanking on which catfish one it was. But the woman who got catfished, I didn't feel sorry for her because she obviously was into getting money, into the whole money thing. Now, what happens with some of these people who do that is then eventually this guy comes along and says, you need to send me some money because my money's tied up. And the person does it. They send the money. And he's like, Don't do that. You haven't even met the guy in person. You actually have never seen him. You haven't been a actual video with him, FaceTime or anything. You don't even know if he exists, and you're sending money to him. Are you an idiot? And if you're doing that, quite frankly, you don't send money to people you absolutely do not know who they are. Most of the time, you don't even want to give money to your relatives, much less some guy you aren't even sure exists. So that was not the case here. She wasn't sending him money. So, yeah. So what happened here? Let me just read you a really quick, small bit, and then I'm going to get into it. When Kirat Asi received a Facebook friend request from a man named Bobby Jandu, here's Bobby, all right, in 2009, she had no reason to view it suspiciously. And she actually didn't. And this is what's so interesting about this case. It wasn't a complete stranger. She had actually seen this guy. I'll get into it. It was 2009. Everyone was expanding their Facebook networks. Bobby's family was well known in the Kenyan Punjabi Sikh community. And the two shared many mutual friends online. Okay, I want to stop right here because this gets a little confusing. She's British. Let me just get that straight. She's British. She was born in the UK. She's not Indian. Okay. Punjab is a part of India. So she comes from a heritage, a genetic heritage, which is Punjabi Indian. And her parents, which is quite interesting, they too, as far as I remember from the show, this is her father. He is clearly a Sikh because he has the turban on. And then we have the mother, Akvinder. They were born, as far as I heard correctly, if I did hear correctly, in Kenya. So they are also not Indian. They're Kenyan, okay? So maybe it goes back to the grandparents. The grandparents were from Punjab. They lived in Punjab, and at some point they moved to Kenya, which is quite a few Indians have moved to Kenya. There's a large population of Indians in Kenya. And so then her parents were born in Kenya, and then they moved to the UK. She was born in the UK. So we have quite a little, dot to dot to dot thing. But I will say this: a lot of the culture of Punjab and the Sikh culture continue on. His family, he does exist. Bobby does exist. His family was in Kenya. They were living in Kenya, and he was going back and forth between the UK and Kenya. All right. And this is so. Just so you know a little bit about me and why I find a little bit of this interesting culturally is because I have spent time in Punjab. I went to work at a deaf school, a blind and deaf school in Patiala, which is in Punjab. And here I am with the headmaster of the school. And here I am in the classroom with the children. And let's see, what is this? Here we are. I forgot where we went someplace. Gurdwara, I think it was. And here I am at the Golden Temple in Amritsar, which is also in the area. And then here I am with some guys, some police. And here I am eating street food because I absolutely love Golgappa. And I will eat that any place on the street because I absolutely love it, even though a lot of people, even who visit India, won't touch it because you never know what the watery stuff inside, where it came from and how safe it is. But I've never been sick in India, so go figure. I've been there 5 times, eat all the street food I want, never been ill. So that's just my connection to Punjab. So I understand some of the cultural things that are going on here in her family, why certain things are the way they are. But she's grown up in the UK, so she has a lot of that influence, and then she has her family influence as well. Okay, so what happened was, Bobby's family was well known in the Kenyan Punjabi Sikh community, and the two shared many mutual friends online. This gets a little blurry here, but we'll get into that. Bobby's younger brother, JJ, where's JJ? Hold on a second. Here's another picture of Kira. Here is Bobby, and this is Bobby online, and this is JJ. Now, JJ is related to Bobby, and then there's this, I've been told this is a fake picture, that is not really Simran, okay, but Simran is dating Bobby, and is a cousin of Carrot. So it gets a little confusing, but don't worry about it. And so here they are, they're dating, they're in a relationship. So as you can see, there's his connections, but not as some of the connections aren't actually real. This is where it gets really crazy. All right, so they were both in long-term relationships, and this is accurate and true. She was in one since she was, what'd she say, 16, and now she was hitting 32. And she says, and this is very important to understand why she got catfished. It was an on again, off again relationship. She said that the guy she was with for all this time would disappear for like a year, and then she would try to get on with her life, and he'd come back, and she would go back with him. That shows me, one, she calls it loyalty. I call it, what do I want to call it? She needed to have a little more respect for herself. A guy who dumps you and comes back a year later at his convenience is not a guy you want to be with. Desperate, I would also want to use the word desperate. She's a very attractive woman, and she was successful in business and stuff, but that doesn't mean in your heart you're successful in the sense that you feel like you can be successful in relationships. She wanted to get married, and that is very important within the Sikh community, Indian community. Getting married is important. It brings families together, and it's a massively important thing. And other friends were getting married, and you go to wedding after wedding after wedding, and you're not getting married yourself, and everybody says, Beta, Betty, why are you not getting married? Anyway, so they ask these questions, and you go, oh, I'm going to get married. So she was in a long-term relationship and hadn't gotten to the point of getting married. But that does show to me she has some issues in being easy to manipulate, easy to give in, quote, loyal, but also desperate. Bobby was actually in a relationship. He was married, okay? Actually married. Okay, but there was no cheating going on here, by the way. So what happened was, she got a Facebook friend thing from him, and a relation to the family. So they started chit-chatting about life, and it doesn't say how often they chatted. So in the beginning, before this became a real relationship, quotes around the real, it was different. You're just chatting with different people, and they're part of your community, and you chit chat here and there and talk about whatever. She knew he was married. He knew she was in a relationship. There was no romantic stuff going on. There was nothing his wife needed to be suspicious of, at least theoretically. So they chit chatted, and this is the weird and odd thing that happened. So 4 months after their chit chatting, she had went to Brighton to go to Punjab kind of shoot. I don't know. I think she wasn't running that one. She did run a lot of music stuff in the community. But anyway, she's there and they're dancing, and having a great time. And she sees him across the room. This exact guy. And she knows he goes back and forth between Kenya and the UK. And there he is at this event. And she's like, hey, Bobby. And it's very noisy in there, extremely loud, of course, because everybody's dancing and partying. And she gets close to him and she goes, "Hey, it's Carrot." And he's like, "Who?" He's like, "Huh?" She goes, "From Facebook." And he doesn't really respond. And they sort of the music gets some people, and she's like, "Oh, whatever." And she just figures, they're not in a relationship. She's not like, why isn't he talking to me? She just says, "Hey, it's loud in here. Can't hear what I'm saying. He's probably drinking, So she let it go and just never paid much mind to it. But it did cement in her head that this guy absolutely existed. She saw him. So that's where it starts. And then time goes on, and quite a long time goes on. We're talking, I don't have all the time frame exact, but this relationship went on for like a decade. So there was a couple, 2 or 3 years, and they were both just chatting. And then he said he was getting divorced. He was very upset about it. She said, "So sorry." Meanwhile, she's having trouble in her relationship. They're supposed to get married, she and her fiance. Then he just dumps her again, gets cold feet. So she's pretty bummed. He's pretty bummed. Meanwhile, within a year, he hooks up with a new woman. And he says getting married. Okay. So he's now getting married to, here she is. Okay. And so he's got a new woman in his life. All right. see, so here we go. Her name is Sanj. I don't know if that's a real picture of her either, but anyway, this theoretically is her. So this is Sanj and this is Bobby. They get married. Here they are. They're getting married. There's no question about it. All right. So she sends congratulations. You know, they weren't in a relationship. She's like, well, you're a good friend. So glad you're getting married. And they've never spent any time on FaceTime. Why? Probably because they weren't in a relationship. I email lots of people. I go on. There's a ton of people here who are my patrons. I've never actually talked to on a FaceTime. I know your name. I sometimes know your face. I know your Facebook page maybe, but I'm not like having an actual video call with you so I can see you in person and you can see me in person and we know who each other are. So that had never happened because it wasn't important for it to happen. So now after he marries Sanj and everything's going great, supposedly, and this is where the massive catfishing starts, although it actually started 4 months before she ever saw him in that bar. So that's the whole tricky part about this whole thing. This is why this is the most premeditated, clever, psychopathic. Somebody says you're going to say psychopath. Absolutely psychopathic manipulation I've ever seen as far as catfishing goes. Unbelievable. Because this person who did the catfishing absolutely knew how everything worked within the Sikh, Punjabi, UK, Kenya community. They knew how it all worked because they knew some of the players. It wasn't that they did not know. So suddenly she finds out from Sanj, his wife, that he's been shot 6 times in Kenya. And they don't know if he's going to live. And now let me say this Kenya has a lot of problems, especially in, if you're Nairobi. They've had a bunch of terrorism stuff that goes on there, that he would have been shot 6 times, shot for whatever reasons. That is something that is not something you go, oh, come on now. That's actually something you go, oh my God, which is what she said. And she's talking to his wife. I will put quotes around that too, because everybody is not who everybody is. And so she's talking to his wife and not talking, but online. And so what happens there is that he gets shot up, and then they're all like, oh my God, I hope you make it. So, and then this comes the next interesting part. Then supposedly he is shipped over to New York City to a hospital to recover, but also he's in a witness protection program, all mixed up with Interpol. Supposedly he was doing some kind of business and something happened and whatever. And they shipped him out of Kenya so he wouldn't get killed and put him in this witness protection program in a hospital in New York. Now, the witness protection program stuff, that will come up in one of my stories that I'm going to tell you about after I get through with this big story. But I'll tell one of my stories. The person also said they're in witness protection program. Got to watch out for people who say that. So anyway, the advantage of saying the person's in a witness protection program, I'm in a witness protection program, is there's a lot of things you can't do when you're in that. You can't release your location. You can't, supposedly they wouldn't allow him to do video calls. Oh, so you can't actually see him, only those pictures. So it's a very clever thing to say. And of course, she thinks that his wife told her that he'd been, and then, by the way, while they were getting to know each other better, that other people in the community, they started talking to her, friending her, and then they made this little group, a little Facebook group, and they all talked to each other. And she was like, okay, I'm talking to everybody in that group. I'm talking to Bobby and his cousin and whoever else, all in this group. And of course, those people in the group weren't really the real people, but she didn't know that. So she's talking to all these people, and they're telling her what's happening with Bobby, and that so far he's in serious condition, blah blah blah. So eventually, he says he wants to be in a relationship with her, that he's fallen for her, that she, all these years, they've had this online relationship, and he feels something for her, and I'm going to say this, although it does seem strange. It's not entirely strange. There's people who have fallen in love over, in the old days, in the 1800s and 1900s, people sent letters to each other and fell in love through the letters, getting to know each other. And sometimes you can spend a lot more time without having to actually get together and do things, getting to know each other's minds and all that. And when I did the very, very limited online dating I did, the guys I talked to, I really liked that. I liked them online. And the one guy I did meet, because he was legit, I liked him so much online. And when I met him, I liked him so much less. But online, and it wasn't that he was trying to be different. It's just online, we were able to talk about all kinds of, it was really interesting. But in person, he was a little bit of, it really wasn't for me. And it was a little boring in person. But I get why the online thing, you start getting, this person talks to you all the time and you get a real relationship going. That's what started happening with them. And so he said he was in love with her. And then she said, well, come on now. But eventually she's like, okay, because because her other guy had dumped her. Now she's getting older. She's in mid-30s or going toward 40 now, 37. I can't remember the exact age. She's got very little time. She wants a family. She's been dumped. For whatever reason, she isn't having a great time meeting the right person. And now this guy, even though she'd be wife number 3. Oh, did I tell you okay. Maybe I missed that. So anyway, the second wife, after, I forgot to mention this, after he got shot up, she dumped him. As you do when your husband gets shot up but anyway, she dumps him. So now Sanj is not with him anymore. But guess what happens after she said they're in love and all that? A baby appears. Yes. He says, oh, by the way, I did kind of sleep with her once. I don't know when this happened before he got the 6 shots in him, because I think afterwards it would be tough in the hospital. But supposedly he got her pregnant, and she's like really upset because she wanted to have children with him. And now he's got this kid with a divorced wife. And she's like, that really screws things up. But she hung in. And what was fascinating about it was that the pictures showed up online. There's Sanj, or the Sanj with the baby. And look, this is the baby. And so she's seeing this is true. There is a baby. And then he talks with her about, buying baby clothes and stuff like that. So they actually look up a baby clothes, and she finds this really cool, like, oh, this cute little thing. Let's send that to Sanj, and maybe she'll put it on the baby. And my God, Sanj puts that on the baby. That's pretty amazing. What is happening here is what seems like real life. She is picking things out, and it must be sent to Sanj, and it's on the baby. How else would it get on the baby, right? What she doesn't know is she's not seeing Sanj's real account. She's seeing the fake account. So the catfisher has been pulling all the pictures from the other accounts and putting them on a different account with a person's similar name. So she thinks she's looking at the original pictures. She's not. She's getting duplicate pictures on these other accounts. So that what happened was the catfisher saw that green baby outfit on the real account, borrowed the picture, and then went and found that someplace else and said, let's send that. And so then later she sends the picture over, Sanj, or he sends Sanj's picture over and says, look, she put it on the baby. Very clever. It's brilliant, actually. And let me tell you something. Psychopaths can be brilliant. So this goes on. So now he's supposed to get out of the witness protection program. So he can now come and marry her. So they're planning marriage. So he says, he talks to her mom. Oh, I forgot about the voice. So now he can now speak. But he's had a stroke, you see. So he can speak like this. So he's a very low, very, very quiet voice. So with a little quiet voice that he has, she's now able to talk to him, but still no video because of all that. But then finally he's released from the witness protection program. So he's going to come and marry her. He sends her, I want to marry you, sends pictures of the ring, talks to her mother, I like a voice like this, but don't tell daddy because I want to come and ask dad for his permission. So I don't want it all over the whole community in Kenya. Of course, this person is trying to keep dad from contacting the people in Kenya. So finally, he's supposed to be there. She's tracked his plane. He's supposed to be at this hotel. She goes to the hotel and they say he's not there. He said he needed a few days to not see anybody. Like, finally, you're going to see the woman in her dreams, but you're not in the mood. But then eventually he says he told the hotel not to let anybody know he was there. All kinds of nonsense. She finally gets smart enough to contact a PI and say, where the hell does this guy live when he's in the UK? Gets an address. She goes to the address, knocks on the door. He opens the door, and she's like, Bobby. And he's like, who are you? This is what's so interesting. Sanj is there too, and the baby's there. And they're all like, who is this woman? They have no clue who she is, because the real Bobby does exist, and so does the real Sanj, and so does the baby. They all exist, but he has never been in contact with her. Never. And neither is Sanj. And neither of any of his other relatives, except for, well, not his relative, but her relative, who is this Simran, which is supposedly a fake picture of her. Simran, her cousin. She is the catfisher. She posed as Bobby. She posed as Sanj. She posed as every one of these people, making multiple accounts and putting them out there and convincing her that she knew this guy and she knew everybody. And this went on for freaking years. She finally confesses, Simran does, that, oh, it was me. I need some, don't go to the police. I need some help. Most astounding thing ever. And of course, she's crushed. I mean, it's just totally 100% crushed. And he's like, what the, he's just like, it's just, he had nothing to do with anything. It was just phenomenal. So apparently the police wouldn't do anything about it. She did sue. I think she got some compensation and an apology, because, an apology from a psychopath means absolutely nothing. But I want to give her credit. Carrot credit. Couldn't say those words together. Carrot credit. She is now fighting to get better handling of being able to do this fake crap on Facebook and other places. And I totally 100% agree with that. My account has always been me, and I had to prove it was me. I think there is I don't think you should be able to have accounts when you don't have your actual name attached to the account and proof that it's you. And if you can do that, you can catfish like crazy. It's you can have because you can just put up anything. And I think that's a big fault of Facebook. They shouldn't allow that. You should have to prove it is you. It's your account. You should have ID proof that it's your account. Now, something will always slide by, but at least that should be done, and it's not. And so it's bad enough that you can get catfished by somebody who's real, but they're liars. But it's another thing to be catfished in this incredible circumstance. And again, why was she catfished? I'm going to go to some of your comments in a minute before I go to my own stories on catfishing and try to help you understand how not to be catfished. I think she has a really good heart. People say she's very kind. She's very sweet. She always wants to help people. She's just very nice. And I think probably a little naive and a little just one of those people that doesn't suspect people. And since she had actually seen that he existed and it was a family-ish thing, she just didn't question until it was that far gone. And I want to mention this. Before he was supposedly coming to marry her, here's another point. He was really Simran. After he was supposedly denied the right at one point to leave and come and marry her, and also he started getting abusive online, started separating her from her family, started wanting to know every moment of her life. That was a moment where she should have said, regardless of who the heck this was or whether he was real or not, she should have dumped him right there. Anybody who is ever abusive to you over and over again and starts monitoring you to that level, that's not a person you want to be married to, regardless of who they are. Even if it's a real guy, dump them, because that emotional abuse will continue into whatever marriage. Don't allow them. But she was already emotionally abused by the first boyfriend, who clearly played with her feelings and treated her not so great. So she had a problem allowing abuse. And I don't know why that is, because I don't know her, whether she was insecure or whether too naive or too sweet, or some people, I don't know. But I do like the fact that, well, she's found this out, and she's really got a whole bunch of years of her life screwed. And now, chances of having a family is limited, at least birthing children. Maybe she'll still get lucky because she's still within that range. She could manage it. So I hope that happens for her. I hope she finds a decent human being, because she doesn't seem to pick them very well. He might have been a great guy. I don't know, because we don't know anything about him for real, because all we know is all the fake stuff that Simran was conjuring up. And she was a female, knowing what a female would want too. So, that can work really well, because she was like, well, I know if I would want this to happen. She had flowers sent her and all kinds of stuff, because she knew what would keep her in the relationship. what nice things to say, what sweet things to say, until the abuse started. And I don't know why Simran decided she needed to abuse her at a certain point. Maybe because it got to the point where they're either going to meet or they're not. And so I don't know. It pissed her off that this whole charade was going to end. And you might ask me, why did she do it? We'll never know. Probably because it thrilled her to get power over a person, to play this game, this massive game that she and she alone managed to accomplish. She's a horrible person. She's a psychopath, and she doesn't care about other people's feelings. And she only cares that she gets what she wants. And she wanted to win she was winning this game year after year, and just playing a little chess game with her little pawns. Only most of her pawns were fake, except for her. So it's an unbelievable story. But it also goes to show that if you don't want to get catfished, and I'll get into this, you have to be more proactive to say, I need proof. I'm sorry, I can't keep doing this without seeing you. And maybe when you get out of witness protection, give me a ring. Or we're not going to be in any kind of romantic relationship. Or there's got to be some other way. It just, at some point you demand that because you have that right not to be played with, kept in the dark or whatever, regardless of the person's explanations, which of course weren't even true. He was never in witness protection. He was never shot, and he was never in New York. He was living in the UK, going back and forth to Kenya with his wife. So I'm going to go check some of your massive amount of comments. I got a bug in front of me and see what's up. No, as far as I know, Christina, there would seem to be no financial. So I never heard anything about financial anything. So now maybe it was there and they didn't say it in the show, but I don't think that was it. I think she just loved the game. Let's see. Oh, okay. Thank you for saying this. In the original podcast, a letter of apology from Simran was mentioned. Apparently, she tried to be harsh, hoping Kara would dump Bobby and all of it would stop. Well, that's what she says. And her apology is garbage. And maybe she did want it to end because she was going to be caught at a certain point when they were going to get married. And he's got out of the witness protection program. She's getting frustrated. Yeah, she probably is trying to end it because the jig is, how do you say it? The jig is up. The jig is up, and she was trying to pull away because that was over. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. I just thought this was this thing. I thought there's so many people have problems with it. I just wanted to let more people come in here and talk about it. Okay, this is a good point. Nancy says, anyone who would put off meeting in person is a red flag immediately if you break it down. Absolutely. And the same thing is true that, well, see, the problem that she ran into was they didn't have like video, like FaceTimes, which is very easy to do if you wanted to know if that person's like above board. But she had seen him, so it wasn't she questioned that he existed. He did exist. And she had no reason to believe that Simran, her cousin, who knew him, and this other people that knew him were, Simran was in on it. So she played this so that she was absolutely sure she was talking to the real guy. And since they weren't in a romantic relationship until after Assange supposedly dumped him after he got shot, then he couldn't be on camera. That's when their relationship started. And she wanted to FaceTime or whatever. And oh no, the witness protection program won't allow me to do that. So they went to audio with a voice like this because Assange couldn't talk full voice or would obviously not be Bobby. So she was pretending she had some issue from the stroke that he had. Let's see. Kara says, I had a scammer call me about my Dell computer purchase that didn't go through. The scam. Scamming is wholly different from catfishing. You will get in your emails, UPS delivery can't be delivered unless you go through the whatever's on the information is there. You purchased a $1,500 usually it's a computer laptop on Amazon, but we have some kind of issue and you got to come. So they're always asking you to contact them and then give all this information up. And if you haven't, but a lot of people get scared because they think, oh my God, did I buy this on there? Did somebody else buy it in my name? And they get all freaked out. The bank there's a problem with the bank and you need to give all this information up. Always call directly or contact directly. If you're that worried, most of the time, just blow them all away. If you don't have anything from UPS, it's not what you bought. All of this stuff, just blow it away. I must blow away, I don't know, so many a week because I have a very high rate of public, out there. So blow it away. But if you're that concerned, contact the company directly, contact the bank directly. Never give up your information on something you don't even know what the heck, why have you got this stuff? Never get that information up. Just always go straight to and say, is my bank account compromised? And they're like, no. Amazon, no, you didn't buy anything. There's nothing here. Do it that way. Save yourself going berserk. Let's see. I did already go to that, Mary, and she met him 4 months after Simran started the fake stuff. And then she met Bobby 4 months afterwards at a party in Brighton and in England. But she only waved at him and said, "Hey, Bobby," and he was like, "Yeah." And she says, "This is," and she yelled at him, but he was busy and all. It was noisy, and then she let it go. So that's when she met him, but she never met him. She didn't get there and say, "Hi," And she said, "Hi, I'm Curate," but he didn't really respond. But she thought he was just couldn't hear or whatever. And he's like, if she had the opportunity to, if the music had stopped at that point and it was quiet, and she said, "I'm Curate from Facebook," and he goes, "I haven't been communicating with you on Facebook. What are you talking about?" It would have ended right then. She would have found out that he wasn't the one. He would have said, "Man, you're being catfished." But because she didn't get that conversation in, she got screwed. So yeah. Oh yeah, there's no shaming the shameless. That is correct, Nick. That is absolutely accurate. Let's see. Aisha says, if these catfishers actually put all the catfishing efforts into real work, they'd be so darn successful. Very true. And I'm going to tell you a story about how true that is. Okay, so I'll tell you the story right now. Okay, so one of the stories I have to tell you, this was not involving a dating. This was involving when I first started profiling. I opened up an agency called Sexual Homicide Exchange. In the beginning, in the very early of 2000s, I wanted to work on serial crimes and bring other people together to link crimes and we'll look at what was going wrong in solving serial homicides. That was the plan. Now, as I was going through and doing stuff, a woman contacted me, and I'm going to call her. Okay, I'll call her Christy. Okay, Christy contacted me from the UK. And she said, "Hey, I just absolutely love what you're doing. This is in my field. I'm getting my doctorate in psychology." And it might have been, let's see, I'm trying to think, maybe forensic psychology even. It's been a long time. It's been 20 years. So I have my brain memory is about this big. So she's like, "I'm getting my doctorate, my PhD, working on it over here." And then she told me sort of the basic story. Her husband was a naval architect. She was homeschooling her daughter, who was 5 years old. She was from the US, but she was living in the UK because her husband got work there. She was in the UK. Now, I want to point out something very important. The mixture of fact and fiction is very, very useful when you're catfishing or faking or defrauding. You mix the two because when some of the stuff is true, you tend not to doubt the other stuff as much. So anyway, she said she was working for this company there, and she wanted to help me out. Now, mind you, I didn't have money to pay anybody, and beggars can't be choosers. And you can also choose bad people because you can't do what you can do if you were actually employing somebody. You can't get the background checks and stuff. You're not employing. You call up and people are like, "Yeah, we're not talking to you." So, but she wanted to volunteer with my agency. She said, your website sucks. And she was correct. And she says, "I can fix it." And she did. She was brilliant. So we're talking about intelligence. She was brilliant. She'd read all the books I'd read in psychology. She could profile very well. I mean, she was amazing. And I'm thinking, all right, rather than do this all on my own, if I can bring in a forensic psychologist, a person who's going to be a doctor, Christy, whatever, and we can work together, this would be much more powerful than if I just work by myself. I'm here to do something useful, not just, it's all about Pat Brown. So I was very interested. Now, she told me where she got her master's degree from John Jay College in New York, and she sent me the documentation. And I looked at it and I saw she only had like a couple B's and all the rest were A's, and she got her degree in psychology from John Jay College. I saw the paperwork. I actually talked to the people. I wrote an email to the people she worked for, and it was actually went to the person that who employed her. They said, we absolutely love her. She's fantastic. So I got something from work. I got something from a college, and she showed me where she was getting her PhD. And so she was brilliant. So anyway, time goes on. She moves. Her husband gets a new job in the United States, or shall we say one of the states. Okay, I'm not going to say where. So anyway, she was now located in the U.S. And she said, so I decided I was writing this book, and I decided I would bring her along. Now, mind you, this is the book. It's upside down book, Killing for Sport. It's my first book I ever wrote. And I managed to get a publisher, and I was already writing. I was already halfway through the book, but I thought maybe, with her on board, wouldn't it be better to have a profiler and a psychologist together, two women? I thought it would be fabulous. So I said, would you like to help me finish the book, and we can put it out together? And she said, absolutely. She invited me to come and visit her. So I was going to see her in person. Now, mind you, I want to tell you a little story in the middle here. She said that she wasn't going under her original name because she had worked, when she was in the U.S., she had worked in, I won't say what state again. She had worked in a prison, and something happened, and she was being threatened by some cartel members that worked in that prison out west, and they put her in witness protection. So that's why her real name, she couldn't give it up because they gave her a new name. You see? And of course, I was like, that's odd. But also, she had this, also had a health problem. She had run a website for a while, helping people had a similar problem. She had to get some kind of implant in her back, and she had trouble walking. And, very, very sad. And I looked at the whole website. It was very interesting. So anyway, I go visit her. I'm out there with her, living in the house with her. Now she is, by the way, she has a job working as the principal of a public elementary school. She's a principal, so I'm like, you would think, you would expect that a public school system would do proper background, right? And she's the principal. It's not like she's volunteering. I went over to the school. They loved her. She was a great principal. There she was. Now her daughter was now attending that school since she was, and she was pregnant and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, her husband was there. I met him. He was, guess what, a naval architect. He was there. That was real. But so she started writing the book with me, and I told the publisher I was putting her on the book, blah, blah, blah. So they put out some, there's actually some advertising out, which is still out there somewhere, but I'm not going to tell you where. Anyway, her name was there. And so I was happy about that. But then as I spent a couple of weeks with her, I started getting suspicious. There were some things that just didn't ring right to me. And you know how I often call men married to psychopaths, especially Munchausen's. And she started, in my opinion, I wondered whether she was exhibiting some Munchausen stuff by having this back problem that I didn't notice when I was with her at all. That I call them dolts. As long as he gets food and sex and is able to live his life, he's like, no, whatever. And he's like totally cool with everything. He doesn't pay any attention because he's getting what he wants. And I started getting very suspicious of her. And somewhere along the way, she was out of the house, and I'm like, just know something is not right here. I will say I might have done some investigations within that abode. I found some interesting stuff. When I left it. By the way, during this time she had a brain tumor. While I was there, she got a brain tumor. And there was a shave. She would go to the hospital, but her husband never went with her. And she had this shaved spot on her head for, where they were doing radiation and stuff. And I'm like, what the heck? So anyway, I do this investigation. I leave. Meanwhile, she quits her job as principal because of the brain tumor, you see. I get home, I do the rest of my research because now I have information. I found her original name. Apparently, she never did more than high school, never went to college once. I was able to find out from John Jay College she never attended there, even though she's very, very good with forgery. She never went to John Jay College. She never went to college. She only went to high school. She did work only as a volunteer in a prison, and nothing ever happened there. And apparently there was some level of theft uh, from a certain group in where she was at, and the school was started finding out stuff about her, and that's why she suddenly got a brain tumor and had to leave. Now, you ask, what did I do about the fact she's involved in my book and her book name is there? I called her up and I said, what did I just call? What did I use for a name? Christy? I said, Christy, here's how it goes. I know who you are. I know your real name. I know you never went to college. I know you never were put in witness protection. I know you have no brain tumor. And I will give you 24 hours to get off my website, to get off of my book, to disappear from anything that has anything to do with me, or I'm taking this to the next level. She said, okay. And within 1 hour, she vanished from everything. And as you can see, just Pat Brown. So, I mean, that was phenomenal. She was pretty damn good. She was brilliant. I think Simran, who catfished her, was brilliant. So, and I say, I even met this Christy, and it was, but it was meeting her and being in person, I started seeing more things because 24 hours a day, it's very hard for them to hide stuff. And so, but she was brilliant. And the question you asked right here, if they put their catfishing efforts into real work, they'd be so darn successful. My God, Christy was brilliant. She could have passed. She could have gotten that PhD. She was to this day, she was one of the best she did better analyzing than anybody else I've ever met. I would have hired her as a profiler, as a psychologist. I would have hired her in a heartbeat if the stuff was real, because she was that good. I can't take that away from her. But yes, if she's that good, why didn't she just go and get the education? Why didn't she just get real jobs? Why all this? And I'll tell you why. Because it's not as much fun. For a psychopath, doing things the right way isn't as exciting as pulling the wool over people's eyes by knowing you are playing them and they don't know you're playing them. To do that she thought with me, my God, it's a criminal profile, and she hadn't figured me out. I beat the criminal profiler. Woo-hoo, until she didn't. But but she's that smart. But it's more fun for a psychopath to lie and get away with it than to tell the truth. But also, as you'll notice, she mixed fact and fiction. So she was in the UK. Her husband was a naval architect. She was really a principal of an elementary school who should have done their background checks, but apparently didn't. Some of this stuff was true. And when you see that's true, you go, oh, come on now. And so, especially when it's true in a way that validates that what they're saying in other ways. She was absolutely fascinating. So I'll look at some of your comments. I'll go to my other two stories. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Hilda. This feels like a make it make sense channel. I appreciate your contribution. And yes, that's my whole point of my channel. What's the point of doing something if you can't help people understand stuff? And I like it. I like things can make sense. People try to if I want to look really brilliant, I could just shroud everything and, oh my God, I know this, but you couldn't possibly. No, everybody can learn this stuff. And you should learn this stuff because it'll help you in your life. And I want people to get some benefit. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you for bringing that one up. Tasha says, there was also the shirt that Simran supposedly got from Bobby in New York. Yeah. So anyway, he's gonna send her something that she can wear and think of him next to her, right? And it's going to have his smell on it because he's going to spray some crap on it, And so Simran says she'll pick it up because she's going to New York. Now, right here, big red flag. Why is Simran allowed to see him, but she cannot? She apparently didn't connect those two things, because if Simran was allowed to get near him, she should have been allowed to go there too. Because why would Simran, who's not even his actual relative, it's hers, why would Simran have the right, if he's under witness protection, to go right off and see him? And why so that was all nonsense. And then she brings back a shirt which smells like him. She's like, oh my God. And she puts a shirt on, and then Bobby says, the Bobby says, oh my God, you're wearing my shirt. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. That was real. That was really good. Um, so I can't get all the details in unless somebody reminds me of them. um, Nick says going to school for legit education is beneath them. Then when they get away with stuff like Christy did for a while, emboldens it. Absolutely, very well said. This is a great point. I love this, Kara. They love bomb their victims. They do. The love bombing is the person thinks you're fantastic. I'm pretty sure that Christy, I was new as a profiler, and she thought I was a cat's meow, or at least I was the cat's mouse. But but she was like, "Oh my God, you're the best profiler ever." And I mean, who doesn't want to hear that? It's like, "Oh, thank you." And I've watched, I've read all your stuff. I've seen you on TV. And she pointed out things I would appreciate. Again, she's good at what she does. If somebody just says stuff I think is stupid, that's not going to impress me. But if somebody says something about something I am proud of and feel is something cool, like for example, I got into profiling in my 40s. Somebody says to me, "Pat, you inspire me because most people think by the time you're 40 you can't have that second career, and it's hard to get into something like that. And you really inspired me." Well, I like to hear that because I want to inspire people. What if somebody just says something like, I don't know, "I love your makeup job," and I'm like, you have bad taste. I don't even know how to do makeup, and what I do is 5 minutes worth, and it sucks. That is not going to. But they love bomb you in a way, even when it's not a romantic relationship, in a way that makes you feel proud, important, and a connection to that guy. So yes, she found ways for Bobby to love bomb her. So that's very good. I'm glad you brought that one up. Let's see. I don't even know how to pronounce secrecy-ups. Such individuals with self-grandiosity also want to associate with successful people, like Bernie Madoff, who was a narcissist. Absolutely. Yes, because you don't want something below you. And I say that with the quotes because that would be insulting. So yes, they want to associate with people they put up here so that they feel. Yeah, so they feel important as well. That is correct. Little Miss Sharon says, if you're in witness protection, I thought you couldn't contact anyone. Well, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. But you see, when you're explaining witness protection to somebody else, so essentially, no, you can contact people. You just can't tell them who you are. So my Christy, who was in witness protection for that reason, her name was changed. She was able to get married, go around, do stuff, and have a whole new family life. She just wasn't supposed to tell people her real name or contact her family. But I mean, the one suspicious thing about that was I'm like, so you're a psychologist in a prison and they're threatening you. Really? Does that really happen? Because I don't know why a cartel would threaten a psychologist. I mean, that was suspicious to me. And I can't remember when I got that story. I remember being suspicious about it because, I mean, a lot of people tell me things like, "Oh, I'm being stalked, I'm being threatened, blah, blah." Most of the time it's not true. Sometimes, occasionally, but I was like, yeah. So, twin flames. I did a thing on twin flames. That's creepy as hell. Twin flames is two cult leaders who bring in people claiming that they're going to meet this person. Their flame is going to flame between them. They're going to be twin flames that come together. And they're cult leaders. That's a kind of a different thing. That is true. Mayberry says, catfishers are parasites that live off the emotions and control of their victims. What nicely put. I like that. That's very good. Now, I want to tell the two more stories and I'll check some more of your comments. Because a lot of people do online dating. And I didn't do, I hate online dating. I've tried and usually I've quit like in a few weeks and I'm like, "Oh, screw this," because most of the people are scum. But anyway, when I first got divorced, I've been married for 25 years and I was in my 40s. And I was like, people say, get out there. But I tried to get out there. I tried to go to some of these like singles things and they were appalling. And nobody was asking me to, nobody was like, I wasn't getting great dates or anything. I remember this one, I thought, "Oh, this is hopeful." So what happened was I went to the studio in Minneapolis. It happens to be across from a hotel, has a bar there. And I was in between shows and I was in the bar sitting there and this fellow sat down next to me and he was in criminal justice as well. So we chit chatted and he said, well, hey, I'm coming back to town. Why don't we meet here next week? Because I said, I'm here most every day. He says, well, I'll just make sure you're here. I said, okay, fine. So I thought we were going to go to dinner, at some point. So anyway, we met again and he bought me a wine and we chatted for just about 30 minutes. And then he takes his keys and he goes, I'm in room 336. And I said, first of all, I'm not a crack hoe and you can't buy me with a $9 wine. And I just walked out and I was so pissed because here again, I'm so, oh man, maybe I'll meet somebody nice. No, creepo. Anyway, so I decided I'd try some online dating. And because I had a thing, connection to India, I thought, well, I'll give that a shot. So I went on an Indian dating site, which is more of a matrimonial, supposedly a matrimonial site that you have some serious intention rather than just Tinder, meeting under on a park bench someplace for sex. So first guy, there was only two and I gave up right there. First guy, he's a doctor. He claims he's a doctor. So anyway, they have these, people got these handles and not necessarily their real names. They got these handles. And so we started communicating. He was in Minnesota as well at the time. And so we start communicating and he tells me he's up in Bemidji, which is right on the Canadian border, which is a small little town, which I had been in once. And Paul Bunyan apparently is there with his purple ox. If you know the stories of Paul Bunyan. But anyway, very large Paul Bunyan, a very large purple ox sit out there in the town. So anyway, we start chit-chatting. It's pleasant enough. And then he says he'd love to see me and he might be coming down to Minneapolis. Now, you got to watch out for married men because what they do, and there's a version of catfishing, is that they lie to you that they're not married. That's how they catfish you. And they usually want to come to where you are and meet you someplace because therefore the wifey isn't involved, right? And therefore they can have sex with you and go back home to their life. So I only had his first name, but I knew he was a doctor and I knew Bemidji. And he happened to be a Sikh. Okay. So, so what happened was, so I got to look up one thing here just because I've lost my mind here. Hold on a second. I just want to check something before I go there. It's been a while. Yeah. Okay. I just blanked. Okay. So anyway, I know he's a Sikh and he lives in Bemidji. He's a doctor. So I put in his first name and I put in the last name Singh because most male Sikhs are the last name is Singh. And so I put that in there and boom, I came up with him. Then I came up with his address. Then I came up with his wife's name. And so I told him, I'm like, what about, and so he contacts me and I go, what about your wife? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I gave his real name. He said, how did you check me out? How did you know my last name? I said, dude, you're a Sikh. It's not that hard. And I'm a profiler. And that was the end of that. So that was the first one. So the second one, guy was a little slicker. So he was in Texas. He was a professor. He said he was a professor in Texas. He said he was divorced. He said he had 2 children, but he was divorced. And we are lovely. We got along very well online. And then he was wanting to see me, but not there again. And I'm getting suspicious. So I was able to take his email address and put it into a certain search engine. And I came up with 2 things. One, that he was remarried and had another couple kids. And the other thing is I came up with him on a porn site where he was saying, I'll be in San Diego looking for a busty blonde. So the next time I contacted him, I typed in, so by the way, he says, can we meet? I said, sure, we can meet. But first, I want you to tell your wife about me because maybe you like me because I'm a busty blonde, like the ones you're searching for in San Diego. That guy is so freaking freaked. He's like, please don't tell my wife. Please don't email my wife. You're going to ruin my... And I'm like, I should have blackmailed the living crap out of him. I could be rich, And I said, let me think about it. And then I just let him stew. And of course, I never contacted him again. I'm sure he was sweating bullets for I don't know how long. Again, how do I know who this person is? Even if I do know who this person is, the problem is, how do you know whether they're married or not married, or they are who they say you are? Well, here's my theory on that. First of all, when the people are catfishing, they do not have a lot of patience. And here is what they do that people don't understand. And the same thing is true for perverts and predators and pedophiles online. They will contact different people. And so here you are sitting in your home and you get contacted. Hi, hon. What's your name? Hi, I'm Pat. Oh, hi, Pat. Where do you live? Oh, you're in Maryland. Oh, I'm in Virginia. Oh, okay. Are you in school? Yeah, I'm in now, they'll start out like that. But within about 15 minutes, they will go to sex. They don't really want to waste their time talking about puppies and whether you like this movie or not. They will get to sex really quickly. Do you have a boyfriend? Have you kissed your boyfriend? What do you like in a man? They'll go right there within 15 minutes. And you know why they do that? Because on their computer, they have open 9 different boxes. So they're talking to 9 different women at the same time, or girls, or boys, or whatever they're into. 9 different boxes are open. This one says, oh, he goes, cancel. This one, cancel. This one, cancel. This one, cancel. Pat goes, oh, I have kissed him once. Sucker. And then he keeps doing that till he gets the one that will work. So the same ones are on dating sites, and they will go after dozens of women at the same time, saying they're interested in every damn thing about each one of these women. All they need is one. And they want to make sure that one they're going to get sex with. And so if you are desperate and you're so excited someone's paying attention to you, hey, they're paying attention to 12 others at the same time. It's not you. It's not you unless you actually get to know this person and they actually know who you are and that you have something in common and that something would work. So if they're telling you right off that they just think you're great, they're just bullshitting you. And they're bullshitting all the other people in those other boxes too. And if you tell them, when I went on, I think I tried Match.com once. The first time I went on, I just put some nice information about me. I got, I forgot how it all worked. Bing, 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 every place. All these guys wanted to be with me. I redid my profile. Said I do not have sex unless I'm in a real relationship. Got real quiet. No bing, no bing, no bing, no, almost nothing. Why? Because they knew they weren't going to get sex on the first date. And they weren't going to waste their time with me because there are all those other women who will have sex on the first date. They don't want to meet for freaking coffee. They want to meet someplace where they can drink alcohol and then make sure that they have sex with whomever. And women, I'm going to talk about women because I'm one of them. Women, even women my age, the majority will have sex the first time because they know they'll never get the second date if they don't have sex the first time. So they do. Sometimes and what happens a lot is they get dumped. They go through all those frogs you're supposed to kiss turn into a prince. They kiss a frick load of frogs and have sex with those frogs too. And most of the time they get nothing out of it. But once in a while, what'll happen is they'll have sex with all these different guys, but this one guy will have sex with them. And then he'll say, I actually like you. So they'll actually get together again, have some more sex, but he actually likes her. And he dumps the other women he's been putzing around with. And now he actually does focus on one woman. And then you hear about how they got married. That's how it often works. So depending on what you want, if you just want sex, go on Tinder, fine. If you don't really care because you just want sex, okay. But if you want a real relationship, you have to respect yourself enough to say, hey, I want a person who has respect for me. And if you're not willing to go on a date with me without having sex within 3 hours, I don't want to be with you, period. Now, that's if it's even a real person. Okay. So when you get down to how people are totally catfished on the internet, the problem is they're unwilling to do something very important, which is if they're talking to that person more than once, first of all, never give money to anybody on the internet. Don't be idiots. I say most time you won't even give your own family money because you're like, oh, I know what cousin so-and-so is going to do with that money. I'm never going to see it again. You're not going to pay me back. Well, why would you give a stranger? And what kind of stranger would ever ask you for money? If any stranger asks you for money, that's a person you don't want to be with. If any stranger asks you for naked pictures, you don't want to be with them. That's just a fact right there. That's if you have some self-respect for yourself and you're not desperate, you don't want to be with those people. And then when the person says they're starting to talk to you a lot and all that stuff, you can say to them very simply, look, if we could meet and we can meet and have coffee, we can go someplace safe and meet because I want to see you in person. And if they say, oh well, I'm way far away, you say, look, I want to do a video call with you because I want to see that you match the picture that you're there. And if they go, don't you trust me? Say, why would I trust you? I don't even know you. That's the whole problem. And if you want me to trust you, what would be your issue? Why wouldn't you want to do a video call? What's the problem? Are you catfishing me? And this, well, male, female, doesn't matter. Are you going to be what you're supposed to be? Oh yeah, I went on one date. The one guy said he was, I think I was 55, 50 at the time or something. And he said he was 50, 55. I think maybe he said 55. I went to meet him. I walked in the restaurant and I said, how old are you? I'm 65. I'm like, but you said 55 on your profile. Well, they tell you to go 10 years lower so that people will pay attention. I said, yeah. Well, I don't go with the guy who's a liar. Bye. I was gone. So I want to see you. And if necessary, I want to see your license. I want to see who you are and where you live. If you have to hide that, I mean, of course, you don't want to be stalked either. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful, especially if you're a female. You don't want to say, hey, here's where I live. But you can give enough information so that they could know who you actually are. And be willing to be checked. They should be willing to be checked out, and you should be willing to be checked out. And especially a video call. If you say I weigh 130 pounds and the video call shows you at 330 pounds, you're a liar. If you're 330, you better put a picture up there that shows you 330. And also the faking your face to make it look better. And not to any extent that it's obvious that, I do that on my thumbnails because I don't like looking at my face the way it is on thumbnails. It's like, oh man, but I'm not trying to catfish anybody. Just watch my show. I'm here to teach, not to go on a date with you. So you should be able to find out that stuff. And when there was a woman I just talked about, it was a woman who met a guy on a cruise. They met on the cruise. I'm sure they had sex. And then what happens is he would come out to meet her, and he met her friends, and he'd see her, and they would have sex and have some more sex. And then she said, I'd like to come and see you. And he's like, oh, I can't do that because my kids don't know about you yet. And they're upset because, I'm divorced, but they don't want me. Okay, you won't let me come visit you at your house. Right there, the guy's married. He's just lying to you. So say, I want to come to see your place too. So if you do these things where you say, hey, if you're a decent person, you will let me investigate you. You will do a video call. You will show me your license. You can cover up something on the license if you want to. I want to see that you exist in real life. And if you want to meet me in different places, I want to know where you live. I want to know who's living with you, so I don't end up having sex with a married man or a relationship with a married man. I don't want you to play me for the next 3 years. Be willing to confront that person, and any person who is honest and above board will have no issue with that. Zero issue at all. And if they start saying, you should be trusted, I don't know why you don't trust me, and make up all kinds of excuses, dump them. So that's how you don't get catfished. Don't be desperate. Ask for proof. Unfortunately, because this was such a high-level scam, but when Simran went and got that T-shirt, that should have been a big clue. But this was closing in on the end of the relationship when he was supposed to be getting out, and then everything. Now, Simran really got into her brain too, and knowing how to control her. A very, very sad situation. But I am glad she's fighting now to do something good. I think that's amazing. But her situation is so unusual. Most people fall for stuff that's really blatant, and you're like, seriously, you talk to this person like you've been communicating for 6 months, and you think you're in love, and you haven't done one video call with them. Why? Why can't you visit them? Why can't you do a video call? It's usually very obvious. So let me go check some of your comments. Let's see. Some people get married young. I've gotten meeting people young. Oh, most welcome. Most welcome. Sometimes my own experience, I always like to bring my own experiences in. And some people say, well, what do we don't care about you? We just want to know about this. But I'm trying to teach. And if I get something I think is useful, I'll use it. So bring all my credentials to date. Haven't I done? I don't know. Maybe I haven't done that. I just haven't cared for a long time. So yeah. You have common sense. Most people don't. Um, but we can learn. It's true sometimes, but sometimes people can be taught some smart things to do, even if they're generally not the best at common sense. Just take your time. I'll point out another thing too. People who meet someone uh, got getting out of prison, somebody they met at AA, and they let the guy move into their house within 2 or 3 months. Let's say AA. AA is a good example. The guy's in AA has been sober for maybe 3 months, and he's in AA, and he needs a place. He needs a place to stay and all that stuff. So you bring him into your house. First of all, 3 months is not. The guy's got an addiction problem. And until he's been through at least 2 years without that addiction problem, he shouldn't be involved with anybody. Secondly, if he doesn't have his own place to stay, he's not stable. He needs to get his life together without screwing other people over and using other people. So he needs to get his own place, not your place. He needs to get a job. Now, he can stay with family maybe if he hasn't screwed his whole family over, but he could stay with family or get himself a small room someplace, whatever he has to do. He needs to get his own life together before he even dates. But people get desperate. They're like, "Oh, this guy likes me, and he needs a place to stay." And I'm a nice person. I'm a nice person. I know how it is to be down on your luck. So, I let him come to stay. And now, apparently, he's using my credit cards. He needs to borrow my car all the time, and he might be sleeping with my teenage daughter. Yeah, because you let this guy into your life. You hardly knew him, and he wasn't stable. You shouldn't be dating somebody who's not stable. Okay, if they have issues, they need to get the issues under control. Guy coming out of prison shouldn't be dating. That person should be getting their life together. All right, and sometimes the problem is people, they're desperate. They say, "Well, this guy is coming out of prison. He's more desperate than me." Hey, desperate people find each other, but one of those desperate people is going to get screwed. So, especially when you're dealing with possible psychopaths, you're going to be the one who's screwed. So, let's say Princess says, "I met a cool guy online once, so I thought the problem was he had too many other girlfriends." Mm-hmm. Yeah. So nobody should have a bunch of girlfriends. You can have friends, but if you're dating a whole bunch of women and all these women, and sometimes if you go online, what you'll see is if they go to the guy's Facebook page and the only thing he has on his Facebook page for friends, there's 200 women and not one dude. That's a scammer. That's a catfisher. Don't trust him. And if anybody types in to you just out of nowhere, "Hello, dear." "Hello, dear" is also very Indian, by the way. A lot of Indian creepy dudes will write "Hello, dear." I think it's also true for Middle East, but it's something that comes from that area of the world where instead of just a hi Pat or hello, it's "Hello, dear." If you see the "Hello, dear," run like, nah, no, absolutely not. Low in self-esteem. All of us have high esteem in some things and low esteem in other things. I don't think there's any person who's like 100% like, well, I guess there are. There are people who believe that not one thing about them is not great. Probably psychopaths, narcissists. But usually we have things where we know we're really good at this, or this is where we're weak. And so, yes, there's areas, but especially if you have areas in relationships where you're failing in relationships and you become tired of being alone. She wanted to get married and have children. I understand that. Because I believe the reason I got married at 24 was I had 7 years where I wasn't in a permanent good relationship. I wasn't very good at dating. It wasn't my thing. I didn't really enjoy it. And guys did not, I wasn't like just guys to say, "Hey, Pat, I think I was that oddball that just really wasn't popular with many guys. When I met my ex, there he was. And then the question was, I knew there were some issues, but I thought, I'm desperate enough to say, I want a family. And if I don't get married now, I could be waiting another 10 years. Maybe I'll never have a family because I'm not doing so good at dating. So I find this guy who does want to date me. And yes, there's issues, but so we married and the issues continued. But not physical abuse, but other stuff. And 25 years went by. He was a good father. We had a good home, and my kids were happy. And eventually moved on. He moved on, and I became single again. And I have not remarried. He's remarried. He's remarried twice. I've remarried zero. And I don't date much. And maybe there's that great guy waiting just out there I'm going to meet tomorrow, but it hadn't happened. So I look back and I say to myself, well, maybe it's a good thing I did get married. At least I had my home, my kids, and at times we got along well. It wasn't bad all the time. There were many good times. So maybe it's just the way life is, and that's the way marriage is sometimes. And so it is. So I don't really regret it, but I don't think I thought I had that many options. She might have thought the same thing. She's like, well, I'm getting up there in age and there's not that many options anymore. Who's going to marry me? And maybe, okay, the guy's been, he's been married supposedly twice. She thought he was unmarried again, but he was actually only married twice. And, but she's thinking, who am I going to meet? And here's this, now he's supposedly, the second wife has dumped him. Maybe this whole online thing, maybe, we get along so well and we've had each other's backs for so many years. Maybe this is the guy. And maybe I can't be that picky because obviously I'm more involved in an online relationship than anybody in real life. And why is that? Maybe because I can't find anybody in real life. And now my age is just, and I get it. So some people never find anybody. I mean, it's just the way it is. I have a friend who's in her 50s and never married. She wanted to be. Never happened to her. I like her. She's a very nice person. Just never know. So, but you can try not to be desperate. Try not to be desperate. Try to think, is this worth it? And am I being scammed? It's not perfection. Life isn't perfection, but at least you don't want to be a complete, completely taken advantage of and abused and used. You don't want that. So have enough self-esteem to say, I deserve at least to be respected. So, it's his loss. Maybe not. Maybe he's got a 20-year younger wife now. He might be better suited to her and she may be better suited to him. What do I know? That's nice. I don't feel lonely anymore at 60. I'm glad. I mean, I have a good life. I won't marry for no reason at all, and I won't get in a relationship for no reason at all. I have to be with somebody I really enjoy being around, and but I have great friends. I have great family, and I have you guys. So hey, I'm pretty satisfied. I've had a very good life, and I hope to have a continued very good life. So the red flags about being cheated on. Well. The biggest red flag is that you actually have to wonder that you're being cheated on. That's the biggest one. It's like, I wonder if my husband's cheating on me. Why do you even think that? Because if you're in a good relationship and you are confident and you don't have suspicions, it's because, well, you could be just naive. But if you don't have any suspicions, that's a good sign. But if you start suspecting, usually it's because you actually think he is cheating. The signs are usually very, very similar. Not disappearing at certain hours, coming home late, having excuses for not being where he should be, being on the phone behind your back, doing stuff secretively, saying she's just a friend, but wanting to, hey, I'm just going to have lunch with her. She's just a friend. It's stuff that just starts adding up and adding up and adding up. There's other signs, obviously. If you can't get pregnant, you find he has condoms in the house. Big sign. Sending money to somebody far away that you don't know who that person is. They're not as interested in sleeping with you anymore. They're changing their appearance. Just think there are things that are, we all grow in life and we all change some things in life. I mean, a person can suddenly say, hey, I want to get thin, I'm going to eat right, and I'll go to the gym. Yes, that doesn't mean they're cheating on you. But there are things that oftentimes when people actually look back, they go, oh my God, they were obvious, but I didn't want to believe it. So when they made the excuse, I went along with the excuse for why these things existed. And that's what you shouldn't do. Going along with the excuse, and you know something's wrong if you know something's wrong. Um, Unless you're just a highly jealous person and so you're just being totally ridiculous. But and that's your problem. But if you've had a stable relationship and things have been going okay, and that things change and the person's not telling the truth and all kinds of weird stuff is going on, probably they're cheating on you. I mean, you know what? Yeah. So there's more to that. I might do a whole show on just that one day, but yeah, that's never a good thing. I say yeah, and his gym bag wouldn't. Oh, I thought I was going to meet you at the gym, hon. Oh, I was planning to come pick you up and go out to the park with you. Do psychopaths ever stop? Well, they don't stop being psychopaths. Will she move on to another scam? Yes, she will manipulate and scam for her entire life, maybe in a totally different way. But, it doesn't have to be the same thing, but it's not. They don't just stop. For example, a psychopath is a serial killer, and then he gets caught. It doesn't mean he doesn't go to prison, not be a psychopath, but he will change his game to anything. He'll go online on prison dating site. He'll go online on prison dating sites, and he will con women on the prison dating site, and they'll send him money and maybe even get married to her and have sex with her, because if they allow that in prison. And he will play this game with her, lying to her about what he's like and who he is and how the crime wasn't, it wasn't, was unintentional, and it wasn't like they say it was. Yeah, they will lie. They will lie like crazy. And sometimes it become like one guy that I knew was a serial killer and he had abducted and raped a 14-year-old who he strangled, and she didn't die. So he left her in a closet, but she woke up, and then she testified against him. So he went to prison for life. Well, he became a jailhouse lawyer. He also represented himself in his own trial, and he got life plus 30. So he needed a better lawyer. But anyway, he became a jailhouse lawyer. And a woman called me up and she said, I saw something about you did on this guy. Bobby Joe Leonard was his name, Virginia. And she called me up and she said, well, he's helping my son. And I said, really? And what are you doing? Are you giving money and all kinds of stuff? I asked her a question. And she said, well, he told me that what they accused him of wasn't the way it went down. And I just started laughing. She told me the story about what he told her. And it was just, it was a lie. And so they never stop manipulating. They'll go to the new game, whatever the new game is. So, they don't just become great guys. Yeah. Sean Atwood, for example, he has a channel on YouTube who just did a whole thing on this fake Julia who says she's a Maddie McCann or a McCann, had the DNA test that prove, and he has her on. And I'm like, dude, this guy, Sean Atwood, people watch his channel, think he's great. Sean Atwood was an international drug smuggler. And he spent 10 years in a U.S. prison and then was deported and can't come back to the U.S. So he's in the U.K., I think now. Now, a guy who was an international drug dealer, transporting drugs and doing what he did, that dude's a psychopath. But once he got out of prison, he came up with this YouTube channel to talk about what it's like to be in prison, and he was very popular. And now he has this ongoing channel, and he has another psychopath on there, Julia, who's a liar, and and they're sitting there lying together, and tons of people are watching this going, Pat, have you seen this show? Oh my gosh, I'm like, it's two con artists. They're both conning. She conned, and then she failed on her first con, so now she's back with another version of her con, and now she's got another con artist having her there. So yeah, they're all scamming you together, and you're falling for it. Why? Because you'd rather listen to a guy who was in prison for international drug trafficking than somebody like me, a criminal profile. Who should you listen to? And there's other people who are professionals online, not just myself. Listen to them. Don't listen to this guy. Don't waste your time. If the person is that shady to begin with, stop paying attention to them. Oh no, have you been on? Oh, get off of his channel. That guy's, I say, he's just come back. Oh, this is interesting. Atwood was found to be taking advantage of a woman who had been abused. He had on his podcast. Yeah, he's a cretin. Yes, he is. But there's a lot of crime channels that are run by people who are questionable. But there's good crime channels out there as well. And just stick with what's people who aren't scamming you. There's a new one called Crime Night, become real popular. He did like 50 videos on Delphi claiming this huge, ridiculous Odinist theory. And then he's doing Madeleine McCann now, and he's borrowing stuff from everybody, but he's gotten a big conspiracy thing there. And he knows how to edit and put all this stuff together in a very dramatic way. And people keep saying, Pat, have you gone over to Crime Night's channel? I'm like, yeah, in my opinion, you shouldn't be wasting your time over there. Why are you over there listening to the garbage he's putting out? Really? Why? Why are you doing it? But he knows how to entice people. There's no question. But he's a grifter. And, stay away from grifters. Oh, good God. Mark Garagos. Yeah, I did tell a story about Mark Garagos once. Yeah, my almost date. Well, he wanted me for other things, but anyway, that's another. I won't get into that right now. But yeah, let me see what other comments you have before I wrap this up, because actually it's been pretty quiet here. I think I'm really amazed, and I'm going to go to join this big bonfire. My daughter puts these big bonfires out in the back, and they're like huge. I mean, like massive, and it's crazy. And she's got like tons of people, and she does this every year near Halloween. She likes to do really cool things. So I will be able to go and enjoy the rest of my evening. Pat, thank you for sharing your wisdom and expertise with us. Oh, you're so loved and appreciated. Well, I am by some, not by everybody. And here's something also important to remember. You can never please everybody. And even if you're in a dating world or whatever you're trying, don't try too hard to be what somebody else wants you to be just so you can be liked, just so you can get a date. Don't just so whatever. Be polite, be nice, be friendly, be decent. And that's what you need to do. Other than that, if people are asking too much of you or expecting too much things that they shouldn't expect of you, they're being abusive. That's abuse. And people don't oftentimes realize what abuse is. When a person you're asking something of people that makes them uncomfortable, or you're treating them in a way that makes them uncomfortable, and you keep doing it and you don't care that they're uncomfortable, that's abuse. If you say, hey, if you're living in a situation where the person keeps making you feel bad, and you can never please them, and you're walking on eggshells, you're constantly trying to be you can't be you, and you can't relax, then that person is not somebody you want to be with. So that's just true even on a date. They make you uncomfortable on a date. Why are they doing that? But there's just some really awful people. I read this one just recently. So this woman, she's online. She meets this guy online, and they decide they're going to meet for a date at a restaurant. He's invited her for dinner. Now, mind you, I make sure I go Dutch, just so I don't have that, hey, I pay for dinner crap. I always go Dutch, unless I'm really in a relationship. But anyway, she gets all dressed up, puts her makeup on, pretty dress and all that. And now, mind you, she showed a real picture. She's overweight, so a bigger girl. But she said she had a real picture of her up there. And if she's telling the truth, then what happened next was horrible. So they meet outside the restaurant. He talks to her for about 2 minutes and says, yeah, I just don't think I'm not into you. No, bye. And just leaves her there. Now, some people said, well, it's better that if it didn't work, if it didn't hit right away, why should you go sit through a whole dinner? Why should he take you to, sit? Well, first of all, dude invited her for dinner. He didn't invite her to have sex or invite her to have an absolute relationship. He invited her for dinner. A gentleman would have dinner with her, and during dinner, get to know her a little bit better. And if at the end of dinner you said, I really enjoyed having dinner with you, and I can see that we probably have two different worlds, but I really did enjoy having dinner with you. I'm glad you came out. You made my evening special, and I hope you find somebody. That would have been polite. That would have been nice, and there's no reason why I couldn't have spent and just enjoyed her company. But to dump her outside the restaurant, you piece of garbage. Well, the good thing was she found out he was a piece of garbage before she wasted any more time with him. But the fact that a lot of people thought it was an okay thing for him to do, that was not okay. Now, if she said she was 130 pounds and showed up at 330 pounds, then he had every right to dump her. But as long as she's telling the truth that she showed pictures that were accurate, then he was a not a nice human being. It's in one of my Menendez episodes. Oh, that's where it was. Oh my goodness. You all want to hear about Garagos. Oh Lord. All right, I'll tell you. So anyway, we used to appear on Nancy Grace together. Okay. Never met. We were not in the same room. He was one place, I was the other. And so I think one of the other women that appeared on the show as a guest, also she had a book signing in Washington, D.C. Well, we all happened to be there. So I went to the book signing, he went to the book signing, and afterwards he invited me to go with him and two other ladies to Georgetown, to a very expensive place, and have dinner. And he was buying it for everybody because he has money. So anyway, we went there, and the two women, I had nothing in common with them. They were talking about shopping in Paris and what purses they were buying. I'm like, but Garagos was kind of busy. He talked to me a little bit, and then he'd be on his phone, talk to me a little bit and have phone, order fancy champagne and all that stuff. But then the women needed to be dropped off at their hotel or whatever. And he said to me, we didn't get much chance to talk. Why don't you come to my hotel, meet at the bar, and we can spend some extra time? I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm a criminal profiler. He's an attorney. We're sort of the same age. Maybe, we get to know each other a little bit. Maybe there is something that might come of this. Who knows? But I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I was like, oh, this is fun to talk to him because I didn't get a chance here. So I was like, all right, fine. So I drive to that hotel. I go to the bar and I sit there. And I sit there. And I sit there. And I sit there. I order myself a drink. And I sit there. There were like 45 minutes and he's not there. I'm like, what the hell? So finally I'm like, screw this. And I get up and I drive to Maryland, to my place. And it's snowing. It's kind of crappy weather out there. And he texts me and says, where are you? And I'm like, I spent 45 minutes waiting for you, an hour. It was a long time waiting for you. And you never showed. He goes, oh, I got delayed. So come back. Come back. I said, dude, I'm now 30 minutes away. You stood me up. I'm not coming back. And he goes, oh, come back. My bed is lonely. And I'm like, you sleaze. And I says, come back. I said, when hell freezes over. And that was the end of it. Well, we showed up on Nancy Grace the next night, and he started saying nasty things toward me, and I was snarking back, and everybody's like, what's going on between those two? So, not fond of the character. Besides, I don't like who he picks for his clients, shall we say. You're so mean. Oh, I'll jump off that tree branch. Oh, my God. Yeah, you're getting gossip. You're getting gossip. I never do gossip on my channels, but I've slipped. I've slipped. Now tell us what really happened. No, that is all that happened. No, that was not in his bed. I guarantee you. Whew. Yeah. Oh, did he stay busy on the phone on purpose? I don't know. Who knows? He's a defense attorney. I'm trusted. Some defense attorneys are lovely. I don't trust a lot of them, but okay, I'm going to stop there before I tell any more stories I shouldn't tell. But this was a fascinating documentary. I really liked it. There were some questions I wish I had answered, but as documentaries go, it is one of the better ones, and I do have some sympathy for her. So sometimes as I say, it's like, yeah, you yourself are questionable, and so therefore you got catfish, but only because what was the one? Somebody tell me the name of the other catfish one. It's a Netflix movie, and I know I did a show about it, and I just can't. So before I go, tell me so I can tell everybody what to go watch. Catfish Netflix. I'm trying to go with the words that'll work. Not the Sweet Bobby one. Give me the other one. Oh, what was the other one? Now this one is the only thing I can pull up now. It's a Tinder Swindler. Tinder Swindler. That was it. Tinder Swindler. I had very little sympathy for the woman. Let me see if I got this right. Tinder Swindler. Tinder Swindler. Swindler. The Tinder Swindler. Yeah, I think that was it. Let me see if I did a show on it, and then I'm going to look and see if I. This is how you find out if I've done something. You go to the search engine at YouTube. you put in profiler Pat Brown, and then you put in Tinder swindler, and you see if I've done it, and I see if I've done it. Tinder swindler. And the answer is yes. Mine is called the Tinder swindler. How stupid can you be? Yeah, so I did it. I will link that below. The Tinder swindler, how stupid can you be? So, oh, shoot. Sorry, just started by accident. It's only 12 minutes, but I don't think I had much sympathy in that one, but I do have sympathy for her. And I hope she does some really good work with Facebook. And if she ever wants to contact me and have me, put in to do some help in that area, I would, because I really feel that there's not enough oversight on how people can get accounts with fake names and all that kind of crap. So I would like to see that. So anyway, that's it. Okay, now I am going to the campfire. Bad Surgeon. I haven't seen the Bad Surgeon one yet. So anyway, thank you all for being here. You've been actually very wonderful. A public live. A lot of times I don't do public lives. Well, most of the time I don't, because it's much calmer when I don't have everybody coming in who sometimes you get a lot of the trolls and stuff. But this has been very pleasant. You've been great. And that's wonderful. I like it. It was very, very good. And so I try to do publics once in a while. And then if you want to say, if you want to come to the lives that I do join Patreon. It's only $5 a month. And it does support an educational channel, because I don't do gossip except for a little bit. So bye everybody, and thank you for being here. Thank you for. I will try to enjoy the campfire. I will indeed. Yeah, I find some warm clothes because it's not that warm out there. So anyway, thank you for being here, and I will see you again at some time. And again, all of my videos are public, even if you don't join Patreon, because I want you to be able to learn something. So yeah, watch them. Bye.